Hi everyone! So with Halloween coming up, I decided to start making some Disney DIY costumes, and my first costume is Belle from Beauty and the Beast. So for this costume, you will be needing about 3 yards of gold fabric, 1 yard of yellow tulle, a gold tank top, scissors, Velcro, pins, a needle and thread, ruler, and some large paper. You can just tape together printer paper, but I decided to use wrapping paper. And of course, I will put all of this information in the down bar below, and I will also include where I bought this and how much everything was. So to start, I am rolling out my wrapping paper and using some objects to hold it down because it wanted to roll up on me. And then I am going to take my waist measurement. And once I have my waist measurement, I'm going to add 2 inches to that, and then take that number and divide it by 6.28. And this will give me the measurement for the inner circle of the skirt template that we are about to make. So I'm just going to take that number that I got when I took my waist measurement, added 2 inches, and then divided by 6.28, and put my ruler at that point, and then put it in the corner of this template and just move it a little bit by a little bit to make some dots, and then connect those dots. And it's probably easier just to watch what I'm doing. And once I'm done with that, I'm just going to decide how long I want my skirt. And I decided to make mine 20 inches long, and I didn't have a ruler that was 20 inches, so I cut a piece of ribbon to be 20 inches. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting that in the corner and just moving that ribbon a little bit by a little bit to make some dots, and then I'm going to connect those dots. So once you are finished with that, go ahead and cut it out, and this will be your skirt template. So once you are finished cutting this out, you are going to take your gold fabric and cut it into a square, with the measurements being the length of your skirt times 2 by the length of your skirt times 2. So because my skirt was 20 inches long, my fabric ended up being 40 inches by 40 inches. You are going to take this and fold it in half so you have a rectangle, and then fold it in half again so you have a square. And when you are finished folding it in half for the second time, there should be one corner that only has folded over edges, and that corner will be the corner that you line up your inner circle with. And that's important because otherwise when you cut out your fabric, it won't work. So then you're just going to pin down your template, and once again, the corner that the inner circle is facing only has folded over edges. Once you are finished pinning it down, go ahead and cut out your fabric following the template. This is a lot easier if you have sharp scissors, and it's even easier if someone is holding the fabric and keeping it tight while you cut it. So once you're finished cutting it out, you're going to take all the pins out. And when you unfold your fabric, it should look like a big giant donut. So then cut another piece of gold fabric that is the length of your waist measurement plus 2 and about 6 inches wide. Then fold it in half and pin along those edges. Once you have it pinned down, you're going to sew it along where you pinned. This would obviously be easier with a sewing machine, but I do not have a sewing machine, so I am doing it by hand, and that just proves that this project is really easy if you're a beginner with arts and crafts, or if you don't know how to sew, because I am terrible at sewing and I still managed to accomplish this project. Once you are finished sewing that, take your skirt and cut it down the middle so that it is no longer a donut. And this is just because it's easier to sew things to it if it's not in a circle shape anymore. So now you're basically going to repeat all those steps and make another skirt. You're going to cut another piece of gold fabric using the same measurements as before, fold it just like before, pin the skirt template to it, and then cut it out. Obviously my fabric doesn't look like it did before, but that's because I have a bunch of extra fabric that I'm using for another project. But the part that my template is pinned down to is just the 40-inch square that I had before, folded it into a rectangle, folded it again so it was a square, and I pinned the template down so the inner circle was at the corner that only had folded over edges. So once everything is pinned down, go ahead and cut this out. Once again, it's easier if you have sharp scissors, and it's even easier if you have someone else to hold the fabric to keep the fabric tight. Because I am doing this by myself and my scissors were not very sharp, my cut looks terrible, and so once I'm finished cutting this out, I actually go back through and even it out a little bit because it was really uneven when I did it. So now take all the pins out of the template and the skirt, and you'll see when I'm done with this, I actually unfold the skirt, but don't do that because you need the skirt folded up for the next part. So just keep it folded up. And then either make a new skirt template or use your old skirt template, but you will need it to be cut to look like this. And once you have it cut to look like this, pin it down on top of the new skirt that you made and cut it out. And when you are finished cutting it out and after you unpin it, it should kind of look like flower petals. So once you have it all folded out, you are going to cut it down the middle like you did with your other skirt. You're then going to put the flower petal skirt on top of the normal skirt and pin it down. Once you have it pinned all the way around, you are going to take your needle and thread and sew the two together. Once you have the two skirts sewn together, take the waistband that you made and you are going to pin that on top of the two skirts. And you can see I'm pinning it so it's kind of flat on top of the skirts, and this just makes it look a little bit neater and cleaner when you sew it together. So once it's all pinned down, you can sew the two together. Once everything is all sewn, I'm going to take the skirt and put it around my waist so I can figure out where everything meets up back there, and the spot that it overlaps I'm going to mark with a pencil, and that's where I'm going to put my first piece of Velcro. So I'm just opening up the Velcro, and because they were packaged separately, I am sticking the two sides together so I can cut even pieces, and I will be cutting 2 pieces of Velcro. 1 piece of Velcro will go where it overlapped in the skirt, which is what's going to keep it tight and make sure it fits me, and then to make sure that nothing slips, I will put a 2nd piece of Velcro at the edge of the skirt. So it will end up looking like this. 1 piece of Velcro at the edge and 1 where it overlapped. And those are the other pieces on the other side. So when it's closed, it will look like this. So now we're going to work on the top, and we want it to be a sweetheart neckline like Belle's dress. So to do this, I'm going about 3 inches down in the front center of the tank top and sewing it up loosely, and then tightening the string and tying it into a knot. So now I'm taking the tulle, bunching it up, and putting it around my shoulders, and I'm just going to kind of wiggle my shoulders to loosen it up. I'm then going to cut off the extra tulle and pin that spot closed. Then I'm going to take that front spot that I pinned and pin it to the front of my tank top where I made it a sweetheart. And then I'm going to find the back center of the tulle and pin that to the back center of the tank top. I'm then going to unpin the front and sew the front of the tulle closed. And I really want to sew this well because I don't want it coming apart. And once I'm completely satisfied that it is sewn together, I'm going to take my scissors and cut it off so that it's really short in the front. And this makes a really nice effect. It kind of looks like the front center of Belle's dress, which has like a little button on the front. And then once I'm finished sewing that down to the tank top, I will sew the back down to the tank top. The last thing you need for this costume is one of these poofy skirt things, or cans or whatever you call them, but they're kind of expensive, so you can make one using a stretchy headband or a piece of elastic. Take a piece of tulle that's double the length of the skirt you want, fold it in half, take the folded over edge and put it underneath the headband, and then pull the loose ends through that loop. And you are going to want to do that all the way around the headband or piece of elastic, which means that you will need about 2 or 3 yards of tulle. And when you are done, it will look something like this, and it will work just the same as the store-bought one, but for a lot cheaper. And then your costume's done. And of course, once you have it on, you have to pose like a princess. So stay tuned for more Disney DIYs. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.